So I'm going to start the actual presentation, and after quite a few slides, then there's going to be a video, and you will want to turn up your volume because I think I just spoke too softly in it, and but I just had it tested and they could hear it fine. So just turn up your volume. So if everyone could close their mic and video until question and answer time, that would be great. And I'm going to share my screen. So today we are talking about organizing our container gardening materials. And so just so you know, I am a master gardener here in the desert in Pima County, Arizona. Also, I have a blog for potted gardening on the Potted Desert at this website, Potted Desert. And I have a book. I don't know if I've ever shown this to you, but it's Getting Potted in the Desert. It's available on Amazon, Kindle, and print. And then I'm here in Element 3 Health with a blog on GroupWorks, and also here doing your classes. So organizing, and my whole deal with organizing at this point, you know, we've now moved. We moved from a home for 20 years to another house for 2 years, then to Hawaii for 4 years, and now back to Tucson. We've been here a year, and I'm really paring back and trying to make it more simple, because in my life of semi-retirement, there's a lot of things I want to do. So I want to make everything that I'm doing, my choices and how I garden and how I have my materials, more easy for myself, and not have to go. We bought a bigger house than we thought, and it's almost 1,700 square feet. We were in 800 square feet in Hawaii. So, you know, I don't want to go from the backyard to the front to get something, or to the garage. And so I try to have things in the areas where I want them for gardening. So we want to make it easy on ourselves. And I don't think anyone will argue with efficiency. So we could have this great shed in if we have our back 40, we've got lots of space, and we have a huge garage or something. And so this is what happened last time too. It's got to be something with my mouse. That we could have a large shed, and then a planting table, and places to store everything. And then in the shed, we have organizers, and we have all this kind of stuff. And it's great if we have the space. In our other house, we had I guess it's called an outside closet. It's part of the house. It's where we had our outside freezer. But I had a table in there, and I had storage in there. But it was halfway between the front and the back. So it still wasn't, you know, you still had to go to get something. And that's what I'm trying to prevent. So if you bring it down to size, you could have a storage cabinet, maybe on the back patio, or in a garage. You don't really need a cabinet, but someplace around, if you have room, you could have a cabinet. They make them pretty waterproof now, and there's different kinds, and you just want to make sure you have shelves on something like that. And or you could have a potting table that has some storage in it. And having a place where you can repot something, or trim up some plants, or do anything you want to do, where you can stand and do that, it's really, really nice. And then if you have your materials right underneath, it's just very, very convenient. I actually had a potting table that had a sink that I could connect to my hose, which in concept was great, but I ended up not using it all that much. And the hose also was underneath it. So they were trying to make everything very convenient. I ended up not using it, but it was a great concept. And then this is what I love, to think about even mobile storage, so that if you have a shed or a garage or something, and you want to, I honestly did not press one thing, and you want to take your your things with you to where you're going to garden. So if you have many areas and you want to take them with you, then you can use something like this first one, a little trolley. They make ones that have stools right on wheels, and then there's a handle to pull this like a wagon. I used to have one of these stools that collapses, and it's really, really cool. And the part under the seat, besides where you see the tools sticking out, then you also have storage down in here also. And so very, very handy. And then I've heard of this idea for years, and I just think it's so clever that you could have a mailbox and really do something to make it very attractive, painting it or putting one of those decals on it that they sell. And then just have your gloves and your clippers and the things you use all the time right out in your garden. And I just think it's a clever idea, and something that makes it very, very convenient. And then I thought this was fun. I saw this when I was doing my search for different photos for you, and they sell this at Frontgate, but I was thinking, well, a clever DIYer could certainly make this themselves, because they make all kinds of carts that go for the laundry room or the kitchen or the bathroom. And then you would just get an organizer, a shoe organizer or something that you could strap onto the cart. So I thought it was very clever, and as long as you have a flat surface that you're wheeling it on and you're not trying to pull it along in gravel, then it could go with you wherever you are. And they've even fastened just bringing down through the shelves a broom or well, we don't know what that is, do we? It looks like it might be a shovel. And just have things that go with you. So I just thought that was really cool. And then I think we're going to get to the first video. So make sure your volume is way up. I'm going to turn mine up, so if that helps at all. And there's 2 short videos, okay? So here's the first one.
Here on the front porch, I have this small pot that is actually a pot with no hole that orchids came in. And for the little gardening needs I have out here, I just have my moisture meter, so I can test anything I want, and some pruners, a hummingbird cleaning brush, some irrigation parts, some gloves. I use just the disposable plastics, and another hummingbird brush, and that's it. And then down below here, if you can see, is another pot with my hose. So right here I'm in a chair just like this one, and from right here I can govern my small garden up front. And you have a great day.
Okay, so that was just my little bit of gardening that I want to do out front, and you know, it just makes it very convenient. I don't have to go find that one thing I need just to do a little trimming, or if I do have to fix a irrigation part. It doesn't happen often, but it sure is nice to have the roof plugs or a line connector or a little piece of line just in case I need to do something. And actually, I'll show you some more pictures another day, but just yesterday we had a great big boulder placed right here. And we wanted a sitting rock, so a big boulder that someone can actually sit on, because we just have the 2 chairs on the porch, and often our neighbors will stop by to chat. And we don't really, this is not flat at all. This is a big downhill. And we wanted a place where they could just sit and rest a spell. And so we had this boulder delivered yesterday, and I'll show you a picture another time with that in it. So we're getting a few more things happening here. And, you know, this elevation, this whole distance here is probably only 6 to 8 feet, probably. Maybe it's 8 feet. But the elevation, I think, is probably at least 3 feet. So once you get past this point, this is all a big slope, and we're having riprap, if you know what that is, the big boulders that are about this size will be dug into the dirt down in here in a nice curved kind of configuration to hold the hill and the stone in, so that during monsoon that we're having right now, that the rain doesn't wash everything down the hill into the road. So you see all this stuff here. There's a big pile over here of debris that's come off of this hill. So that'll be happening. So not container gardening, but something we deal with. Okay.
Here on the front.
Let me go to the next one. So this is now in the back.
Organization, I have a large deck box, which has made everything very convenient for me. And so it opens easily just by a little lift, and it's got hydraulic closers, which is wonderful. And in here you can see I just have, it's organized more than it looks, but I have a watering can with the rose type nozzle on it, sprinkler, to make it easy to hand water a few things. And then I have a bucket that I haven't emptied today, but that's for my garbage, or when it's empty I can use it for water. And then I have a rag just in case I want to clean something up, or my hands. And I keep right on top a pair of scissors, so if I have some quick deadheading I want to do, I can grab them very easily. And then this is always been my pride and joy, and it is a 5-gallon bucket, and it has a organizer on it, and it has all my tools, my clippers, my water meter, everything I need, and then the top is a seat. And so then inside I have my irrigation parts and just other things that I use on a regular basis. So if I'm going to do any major gardening, I will take this entire bucket out. But then if I'm going to just do a little snipping with my scissors, but I still want to sit down at the pots, then I can put the same lid onto the other bucket, which empty would be very light. So everything is here. Also in here I have some extra hummingbird feeders. This is my can of Miracle-Gro fertilizer to put on the hose to fertilize the plants. Then I have garbage bags right here. I have gloves that I use, and underneath there's some other fertilizer that I use. So pretty much everything is here. In the winter I have space for the frost cloths, and I can just easily take the bucket and wiggle it back down into the box, put the watering can back in, and I know exactly where it fits, right here, upside down. Throw the cloth on top, put the scissors on top, give it a touch to come down, and it's also a seat, so then I can sit and look out at the garden. That's it. Have a good day.
All right, so that is the end of my formal presentation, and you may open up your videos. I prefer, because we have a few extra people today, that maybe you just unmute yourself when you want to talk. And what I want to ask you is what have you done at your home to try to organize your tools that you're using on a regular basis to make your life easier? Or from watching what I've just shown you, what changes might you make? So who would like to share first? Just raise your hand. All right, Cindy, I saw you first. Go ahead.
Well, I am just finishing building a greenhouse. So that's really helpful. But my favorite thing in it is at an antique store, I found a 1920 Kitchen Queen. And it has cupboards at the top and like a table area where people would need dough. And underneath are these big bins, these big curved bins. So I put my potting mix in the bins, and I put my heating pads for seed starting on the flat surface, and grow lights underneath the top cabinets. And then all my fertilizers are in the cabinets and pots on the top. So everything I need is right there. And it's got 5 drawers for gloves and shears and things like that. And so just this one thing that historically people used as their main kitchen, cabinetry makes a really, really cool area for growing from seed, repotting things, that kind of stuff.
Where do you have it placed?
It's in my greenhouse.
Oh, it's in the
Let me
greenhouse.
show you, actually, might be a word, picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yes.
So if you don't mind,
No, it's wonderful.
I will
Awesome.
show you.
Oh,
Right there.
Oh, that's nice.
See,
that's that, you
Yeah,
know, I
so those
remember my
big bins
grandmother
underneath.
having something like that. That is so cool, Cindy.
yeah. And then my greenhouse also has some seating areas and
Wow.
a little pond. But mostly it's the organization thing that you're talking about right here. I'm pretty proud of that. And then I have, potting benches too, but
Wow.
anyway. So thank you.
That's great. That's great.
That's awesome. And you have electricity and water in there.
I do. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
So is that greenhouse like right off of your room there? I mean, you didn't go very far to get to it.
No, this is a shop out in the yard. My husband has a big steel shop, so it's a lean-to on the shop.
Oh, and I see you have a sky chair.
So this is my
behind you,
hobby
too.
room. Yeah, this is my hobby room. I got a
Nice.
little corner of the shop and turned it into a hobby room for exercise and arts and crafts and that kind of thing.
Great. That's
And then
wonderful.
outside is the pergola.
Very nice.
Anyway, I just wanted to share that kitchen queen is so cool because
Yes.
it's perfect for potting.
Yep. And you know, it's interesting because you could go to all these kinds of thrift stores and whatever markets and find things like that. And we need to keep an open mind over what we could use to organize something without buying something brand new, recycle. So that's great. Beautiful. Love it. Okay, who else would like to share? No hands? Nora, what do you do?
I'm not very organized. I have a cabinet in the garage and it's so hot here. And those wine carriers you get at the grocery store at Fry's? I
Yeah.
have my shovels and my tools inside the wine carrier.
So you carry that out from the garage to wherever you're going to go. Yeah,
Well, it's not as nice as what Cindy has, but it works.
it works. And that's the whole thing, in the other house that we had that storage shed. And I can't call it a shed because it wasn't outside. It was part of, like I say, the house, but it had an outside door. And it was only 4 by 4 if I'm lucky. And the freezer was in there. So it wasn't a big space, but I had that same bucket that I showed you from my garden deck box there. And so I didn't need to grab anything more than that to go out to do anything that's container gardening, And if I needed a broom, of course, or a shovel or something, yeah, we all have to get those. But for container gardening, for most of what we do, if we can contain it, and even indoors, I have right inside for the little few indoor pots I have the same things. I have the water meter, the trowel, and the scissors, because for that, I really don't need pruners. And so I have 3 sets of everything. And it's great. Who else? Deanna, what about you in Florida? How do you contain your things?
Well, Mary Lee, I'm still in the apartment, but soon to move by the end of September, and then I'll have an outdoor space. So I'm really anxious to get my flowers growing again. So as of right now, I don't have anything ready for that area, but soon I can get
So
back.
what do you have a sizable lot that you're building on? You're moving to?
No, it's a condo that we purchased, yes, and it has a screened-in room, and that's where I'll be doing all the planting.
Okay.
So I know I'm going to repurpose a lot of items in here for my garden. I
Great.
call it garden. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, thank you.
Good, good. Yeah, and remind me when you're moving, is it this fall?
The end of September,
Okay,
which is still hot here until November. So I have a couple more months after to continue growing things outside. Yeah.
right, right. Okay, so anybody else who wants to share? And I know that you know, if you're into looking at new ideas and some do-it-yourself things, Pinterest is just, of course, full of ideas. I was thinking this morning, oh, I didn't include anything made out of pallets. It seems that so many people have done things out of pallets. And I'm sure someone's made like a potting bench or 10 out of pallets. So Pinterest is always a place to look things up. So what questions do you have? Because we have time, and that's the end of my organization talk. So let me just see. I see this thing. Oh, pegboard and variety of hooks. Yes, absolutely. I had a pegboard in the other house for tools, hammers, and all kinds of tools. So that's always good. So what questions do you have? What's your burning need for today for any gardening that you are doing? You're very quiet, the rest of you. Don't be scared. Don't be shy.
Mary Lee, I had one question when you were showing the items in the bucket and you showed the garden hose. That was a recoiled hose? Was it one
It's
of the
one of
fabric ones?
those, they're made out of that, I don't even know what the material is, but it's a fabric type of cloth that has some mechanism that it just it shrinks. It doesn't
Right.
recoil, it shrinks down to size. And I gotten a couple of those just to, and part of it is so that when you put it away, that it's small. So the one that's in the front is, I think, a 50-foot hose,
Oh, wow.
and it takes up a pot this size, like this. It takes up half of that space when I put it away. And the one that I have in the back is 100-foot, and it doesn't take twice as much space. It's like maybe a third more space. And so I can let them recoil themselves and put them in their little pots, and then they're contained, and they're also somewhat protected from the elements, because like the front porch is, of course, is covered. In the back, it also goes into a pot, and that's covered, but it is hit by the sun, so it's not directly on the hose, which I think saves it some.
Yeah,
And they have them in all the stores now, and I think I ended up getting these on Amazon, and they have a warranty with them that's significant. So I like them because, and I wouldn't use them for if you're dragging a hose around a lot of rocks or things, or cactus, Nora. I wouldn't use them around that, because I actually have a little hole in the one in the front, but I'm sure it's from letting my guy bring it around to the side where he was digging.
yeah, I've seen the different coil hoses. There's also the plastic coil. Well, I was just wondering how effective they are at watering. Are you happy with the amount of water that you get from them?
Yeah, and you think about how far you want to go. And the nozzle, what I have discovered that I need a really good nozzle that helps to pressurize the water. And because I found, like in the one in the back, it's a 100-foot hose. And you know, my depth is about 20 feet, but my length is 47. So to get to the corner, the jet setting will be fine. It'll get there no problem, but there's another kind of a jet setting that doesn't have that kind of pressure. So you want a good nozzle. And then also you don't want to be running any other water, like don't have the irrigation system on, or maybe even the washing machine on, that's pulling some of the water away from there. But we have good water pressure here. So I've had no problem, but it did make me pause, because this one setting, I was like, well, is that all the water you're going to give me? Because that's not enough. but then I just changed it to a different jet setting and it was fine.
Oh, good. Okay.
I
thank
wouldn't use it for 200 feet, you know, if you have a back 40, but in a condo, you're not gonna have that.
you.
So, and actually, when we were in Hawaii, I had the same kind of hose and I could stand on the lanai and shoot the jet setting up to try to just not miss, but using the jet setting, I could hit the trees that were in the distance to just kind of, when it was hot, give them some overhead moisture. And so I had no problem there, but I think it comes down to a good nozzle. And I would buy a nozzle locally so that if you don't like it, you can go back and trade it.
Right. Okay, good.
Shirley, I have another Zoom call. I need to jump off, but I'll see you next week.
Okay, and just double check the schedule because I think I told you something wrong and I forgot to look it up beforehand. But so just double check the schedule that comes in your email to you, okay? And
Okay.
I know we're meeting.
Bye,
next week,
everyone.
but I can't remember. Take care. Thanks for being here, Nora.
Bye, Nora.
Bye.
Other questions? If while you're thinking, and I can do two things at once, I'm gonna just jump over and see why I can't remember what the next class is. There is an event today where I'm talking about how I got into gardening. It's on Facebook on the Element 3 Health page, Element 3 Health page. And it's at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, which is 12 o'clock noon Pacific time. So if anybody wants to hop on that.